All right, welcome back to another Zero Downtime podcast. I'm joined today with Logan. Welcome.
Welcome.
So today we're going to talk about if I were going to restart my tech career, what I would do differently. But first, of course, we have to have the meme of the day. And the meme of the day is Buzz Lightyear and Woody. And it says, let's just burn it all down and start over. So before we get started, I just want to make a disclaimer. Some of the things I'm going to say today, people may take as a problem. I don't mean it the way I say it, or maybe the way that it comes out. I'm not anti-college. I'm not anti-education. My kids go to public school. Your kids go to public school. I'm not against any of that. So I just want to caveat this whole thing with, just because I say it, I would do it this way, it doesn't mean that I think that other people should do it this way.
I love that you're starting with the disclaimer.
We need the disclaimer so that way if anybody decides to clip the show, they have to put the disclaimer in first because I said it. And if they listen to the whole thing, they would know. So yeah, yesterday we did some interviews. So A&P is expanding, which is exciting, right?
Yes, it's very exciting.
Yeah, we're moving into a new market. And we did quite a few interviews. We did 9, I think, in one day. So we limited them to half hour. We took an assessment. So each person that came down, they took an assessment of their kind of like base technical knowledge. And some people did really well and some people didn't. And just because they did bad on the assessment doesn't mean they're a bad technician or bad at what they do. It just means that they're more focused on one particular area of tech. Then we had an interesting drive back from Des Moines. We were in total whiteout conditions.
We made it.
We made it. Only one time do I remember we were in the left lane when we should have been in the right lane.
Once you feel that rumble, I'm like, all right, we're going. You hear the second one, I'm like, okay, we're in the left lane. Do you say something? John said something.
when you're looking out your right window, because I sat on the passenger side in the back, and you can see the white line. You're on the right side. You're doing good, right?
Yep.
If you can't see the white line anymore, it's a problem.
Yes. It was all white. You couldn't really see anything at that moment, but we made it.
So I know I want to just caveat again here. I know Logan went to school. You graduated with a degree, and I don't even know.
I just have an AS degree.
What is
I
an AS?
shouldn't say just.
I don't even know what an AS degree is.
Associates of Science.
Okay.
Yes, I believe that's right.
Okay.
I hope we're not wrong because people are going to roll their eyes at that. It's usually more of a specialized 2-year is what most ASs stand for.
So science would be in technology, engineering type stuff, math.
You still had to take a lot of the regular core classes, but then like mine was in web design development.
Okay, so it's an AS focused in some type of technology. Yours was?
Mine was in technology, but it doesn't mean it has to be in technology. Usually if you get a 2-year degree, it's an AS.
I suppose because I've heard of AA degrees.
Yes.
Associates of Arts, I think. I know you're looking it up right now.
Because I don't know, and it's kind of embarrassing.
But I think that they're one is more geared to like a liberal arts degree. So you go and get your AA at a school, and then you move on and do a 4-year school after that.
So an AS, I was right, Associates of Science is a 2-year college degree focused on math, natural sciences, and technical subjects.
Yep. Okay. So yep.
There we go.
And then,
I wasn't complete.
And then an AA was for the arts. And like I said, I think it has a lot to do with where you go next. So you'll end up going to a 4-year school and graduating with a degree in whatever you want.
Yeah, you're right. AA, Associates of Arts, focused on liberal arts and general education.
Okay. So irregardless of that, I'm not even going to talk about that yet. So I'm going to start off with the first things that I wouldn't do starting off in the tech field. Like, think of, I just graduated high school, and I know I want to do something in tech.
Are you graduating high school now or when you graduated high school?
Honestly, it wouldn't matter.
Okay.
I would do these things now. I would even say, even if I wanted to change career paths, I would do what I would similarly to what I would do here. Not this first slide, but the next things I would do.
No, it's fine. I just mean technology has changed so much since you graduated high school.
Right. So we're going to actually talk about proximity learning.
Okay.
And about how that doesn't matter.
Okay.
So the first things I wouldn't do is I wouldn't hop on every trend. Right now, it's so easy to get stuck on buzzwords like AI, crypto, Web3. I mean, you might not even know what all of those are, but the problem is that if you jump on a trend, and you decide to make your whole career about that one thing, your career may come to a screeching halt, because we know that a lot of these things start and then die.
Yeah.
I would be more broad in what I do.
Do you think AI is going to die?
I do not.
Okay.
Well, I think the bubble will burst, and I think that the market will get smaller.
I think once ads start showing up in AI, it'll change.
Yeah. There'll be a few key players in the market. Think of Google for search. Yeah, there's other search providers, but the gold standard of a place to work is Google.
Yeah.
So you're going to have the same thing with AI. You're going to have 2 or 3 companies that you work for, and the market will get so shrunk that you either have to start your own AI, which in the past will have already proven to not work because the bubble will burst, or you have to work to try to get a job working for those few companies. And it's not because these trends are useless. It's just you can't focus on the keyword, the buzzword, without the fundamentals. And if I were starting today, I wouldn't start with a school. I'd start with a company. So what that means is I would find a company that I'd want to work for. Whatever, any type of niche that I wanted to focus on, I'd offer to do anything. I would walk in there and I would say, I will do your inventory. I'll clean. I'll do whatever grunt work you have. I'd get access, I'd get exposure, and I'd get experience. Employers say they want degrees, but what they really want is proof that you can do the job. And a degree can be proof, but experience is always proof. I got a couple of Elon Musk quotes actually here that talk about this. Famously, Elon Musk did go to college, but famously he talks about the need to not go to college to be in a technical career. And so one of the quotes says, it's not the degree, but the skills that achieve success. And he also says, don't confuse schooling with education. I didn't go to Harvard, but the people that work for me did.
I think a point for this too, even from all those 9 interviews that we talked about that we
Mhm.
did, some of them that had the bigger degrees could not answer the questions for the people that had a degree or didn't even have a degree, but had worked already kind of in the field.
I didn't have this in my notes. So I met with one of the professors of one of the colleges from around here, and they're looking to change up their curriculum path. And that's when I realized that college, first off, is a big money grab. And secondly, it wasn't about what the employers were actually looking for. It was about what looks cool. So what that means is I said, are you going to teach them how to subnet? Because when I have new employees come in, I always have to teach them how to subnet. I'm not going to get into subnetting, but it's how you can break down a network. And it's important because when you segment networks and you do security, you take and you make a big block of IP addresses smaller, so that way you only put the necessary things on that network. And it's such a basic skill. And I told him for the limited time I went to college, I had to take a subnetting class, and the only way I could leave that class is if I passed the test. So let's talk about companies that used to require degrees, but don't require degrees now. IBM is one of them. IBM actually has an apprenticeship program that if you want to come work for IBM, you apply to their apprenticeship program. They're going to want to see that in high school you did some technical things. So you need to spend your time wisely and learn new things and apply, and they're going to ask you about base skills and all of that, but you could potentially work for IBM. Google's another one. Larry Page and Sergey Brin are famously college dropouts. And at first, they had a requirement that some places in Google, you had to have a college degree. For the most part now, they've actually dropped that. If you can prove yourself with experience, they'll hire you. Tesla, obviously, we just talked about that. Elon Musk used to have a requirement for a 4-year degree, but famously no longer, including degrees that are engineering roles, may not even require a college degree if you have the experience. And Apple, in 2019, Tim Cook dropped the requirement for most roles, including coding roles, to have a college degree. I actually met with a coder a while back. He was looking for a job, and we talked about different programming languages and different things, and they actually didn't learn programming languages in college. And I think that that's okay. I think in college you should learn how to learn. But even things like source control, like Git or SVN or Subversion or any of that, they didn't learn any of that. And I wondered, what did they spend 4 years learning?
And I would say in my degree, you had to take so many required classes that there was probably 2 or 3 classes out of all of it that truly helped me go on to do what I was going to do.
Sure.
Because like even for me with a 2-year, they don't require you to have like an internship or anything. But I had went out and got one. I mean, I didn't get paid, but I learned more during that internship building people's web than I did probably sitting there for 2 years in class.
It's the experience that matters, especially in these tech roles. Again, there are certain roles that require degrees. I would want my doctor to have a college degree.
There are a lot.
There are a lot of degrees that we want to make sure. But and I think the big takeaway from these companies that are hiring people that are not college educated or semi-college educated is big companies don't care about big companies care about output, but they don't care about your pedigree. Your pedigree meaning where you came from.
How many different, I mean, I feel for tech, it really is not a required thing I mean, most of the smartest people that I know that have been in tech don't have a degree or don't have a degree in tech.
Right.
Like they went and got their degree because everyone was getting degrees, but are there a lot of other fields that you feel that would fall in that line beyond tech? Like you just said, Medicare, or if you get in the medical field, things like that, teachers.
Yeah. So
educators usually, I mean, those all have those degrees.
I can only speak to the things that I know. And I would say certain things like business maybe doesn't need a degree. I know that's probably going to be a hot take because people spend a lot of money on business degrees.
Yep.
And if their whole goal at the end of college is to run a business, then what did they learn? They learned how to run a business, but what are they going to do?
Yeah. You're just going to have a lot of debt to go back to try to start your business.
Correct. So now you've got this debt stacked on debt that you'll have for starting your business. So I wonder about things like that, but I only know the things that I know, and I can't speak to the other degrees. So if I could do high school again, what would I do different? I spent a lot of time burning and selling CDs. Thank you, Napster. And while that helped me out on my entrepreneurship journey, I think it really stunted my technical growth. I mean, I did have my computer in my bedroom with hard drives sticking out of the sides, so technically speaking, I was learning how to stack lots of hard drives together so I could download lots of music and burn CDs. But I should have spent more time learning how to code. But to be honest, during high school, like probably most guys from the 90s, I was more interested in cars and cash.
Well, and you graduated early too, didn't you?
Yeah, I graduated a year early from high school. Barely. It wasn't like I graduated with a 4.0 early. I barely graduated. What did you get in school? A 0.9.
Made it. I think for me, I took a web. It's where I fell in love with web, was actually in high school. And I was able to take our web class over and over and over.
Yep.
Thankfully that the teacher kept letting me put that in every semester. And that's actually what pushed me in the end to go in and want to learn more about web.
So I don't know if this class exists anymore, but what we did that really kicked off my wanting to be in business journey, or the idea that it was possible for somebody like me to be in business, was we had a class, and it was, I don't know the difference in semesters and quarters, but I think it was 4 quarters. And what we would do is we would rotate 3 days a week one between shop class, one between accounting class, and one between a business class. And we would design a product and build it, learn how to sell it, and learn how to keep track of the financials.
Oh, that's a neat class.
That was an awesome class.
We didn't have anything.
I had such a good time. We actually made, I went to George Little Rock. We made GLR keychains. So we had just gotten a wood cutting machine, like a 3D printer, but it would cut into the wood. And so we made round keychains that said GLR. And then on the other side, we took the team photos and we figured out how to lacquer on top of the team photos. So you could have, I ran cross country, so you could have a cross country keychain or a football keychain, and it would have the team photo. It was obviously terrible.
What was your mascot again?
We were the Mustangs.
The Mustangs.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was a class that really kicked off my entrepreneurial journey, and I think probably that's where a lot of people really find their passion, probably as high school, because there's all that time.
Even if you don't even realize it.
Even if you don't even realize it, I wanted to work on cars. That's what I wanted to do when I was in high school. I wanted to work on cars. Like, this computer thing is so stupid.
It makes me laugh because although, yes, you can work on cars, it'd be like your handy ship in the end on what you're delivering back.
The other thing I would do in high school is I would find a company locally that I could go in and bother. I would show up and I would hang out. I would talk to the people that worked there. I would learn by proximity. There's I think I probably talked about Dave Ramsey before. There's one of the people that work for Dave Ramsey that wrote a book called The Proximity Principle. And that's the idea. The idea is that you learn from the people that are around you. So just kind of automatic, you soak up the things from the people that are around you, good or bad.
I would 110% agree with that because when I came out of college, I had no intentions of owning a business. I'd never even thought of it.
Sure.
It was the people around you that pushed you to go to there, and then you realize how much you do enjoy it.
Right. Yeah, the freedom.
A lot of it's learning along the way.
Learning along the way, and then all of a sudden you kind of get in your groove, and you learn that there's actually some freedom involved, and
a lot of responsibility.
You know, I think about A&P, we have 10 employees or something like that. It's a big responsibility to think about 10 car payments.
10 mouths to feed. Well, it's more than that.
It's more than that.
A lot are married.
Yeah,
some have children.
It's a hard thing when you become a business owner. It's stressful, but it's also rewarding as well.
Absolutely.
The next thing I want to talk about is certifications. You looked at all those resumes.
Yep.
And they all had very similar certifications.
I feel that is what is coming out of college.
So college is making the kids.
Well, it's giving them like the idea, like you need to have, but they're all getting the exact same certifications.
Right. So in my opinion, doesn't that make the certifications be the baseline?
One of the classes I took was all about A+ certification. The class was called A+ certification.
Right.
I mean, don't be wrong. We're talking many years ago, so I don't know what they still have. But it was all about getting that certification.
Right. And so now, based on what I saw yesterday on the resumes, and I've seen on other resumes too, it's just interesting because we were in a larger city, so I expected to see more deviation.
There was not.
There was not. It was CompTIA and it was Network Plus.
Yep.
Those are the two certifications that we saw with everything. There may have been a Cisco certification here or there. Cisco isn't the gold standard anymore. It used to be. I think the thing that can really set you apart with certifications is picking something different. So instead of picking Cisco, pick Fortinet. Pick something else that shows that you have motivation to get certification, but also something that's extremely popular.
Even if it was a certification that would have made no sense to us, it would have been a large talking point in that interview.
Of course.
Because it would have drawn your attention.
Yeah. Why did you get, I mean, we obviously sell Fortinet. Why did you get a Fortinet certification? I'm interested because we sell Fortinet. We support Fortinet. I want to know why you, who's maybe never worked with Fortinet before, decided to get a Fortinet certification.
And I would just say for anyone out there who is applying for jobs, don't use ChatGPT for your resume and don't submit like a 5-page resume. It's too long. Didn't read. The people that had the short ones were the ones that we contained the most information out of.
They were the best interviewees, and they were with the concise resumes. That's the way to do it. I get that you have a lot of experience, but be concise, and then the interview is a time that you get to brag about yourself.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I don't know. We had a lot of resumes that we had to go through, and the really, really long ones got tossed. I shouldn't say tossed. We just set them aside, not to say that we won't come back to them.
I had one that we brought in. I think he was a no-show actually, and it was 3 pages.
Yes, we had one no-show, and we were expecting at least one.
Yep.
Because that just kind of seems what the
we had 10 scheduled and nine showed, but that one had the 3-page long resume.
Yes, having bullet points after bullet points after bullet points for pages on pages.
Yep.
Just don't do it.
So last, I guess my takeaway from the certifications is they aren't useless. but they're just not differentiators anymore.
Correct.
It doesn't make you stand out. The other thing I would do is adjust my free time. So before I got married, I was working on a project at another local company in town called Thinix. Back in the day, it was a PXE project. What that is you turn the computer on and the computer doesn't have a hard drive. It doesn't have an operating system, and it gets its operating system from the server, and it boots from there. It makes the computer a really dumb device. But the goal was to have the smallest operating system you could make, so 10 megabytes, because the smaller you could make the operating system, the faster you could boot the computer. And I wanted to boot up extremely fast, right? Like, so the person had no idea that it wasn't a Windows computer, because what it would do is it would boot and then go right to a Windows screen and let the person log in. We installed this in a large factory around here, and we replaced all of their computers on the floor. Well, we didn't replace them. We added a network card that supported PXE. And instead of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars replacing all these computers, we spent $10 per computer on a new network card. So it was a really cool thing, and it was savings, and it was obviously, for me, it was fun.
Yep.
I spent but then I would go home and I would spend my evenings working on the same thing. Like I said, I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. I spent my free time focused on what I was working on at work, along with the things that supported it. So, for example, DHCP, which is how computers get IP addresses on a local area network, I would spend my time not just learning about how DHCP works with PXE. I would spend my time learning about how just DHCP works. I could deep dive in more to those things. I would spend less time watching TV, which I hardly ever watch TV. I would spend less time watching TV, and I'd use my time for learning. And that will be reflected when you go to interview. For example, some of our best interviews yesterday were the people that said they had a home lab.
Yeah. They seem to even be more comfortable just on any of those questions you were asking.
Right.
them.
So we had 11 assessment questions. I asked them all to the people, and some of them I just started skipping because it was too much.
I was like, once they missed some of the beginning ones, you
Yeah.
just kind of
Yeah,
knew that by the end it wasn't going to come through.
I would fly around, but the guys that did the best on the test were the ones that obviously spent the evenings working in their home lab and learning about those things.
I would say for me, one of the best things I had when I first came to Spencer is I was engaged, but I was living here alone and I really knew no one.
Right.
And I would come home and just work.
Yeah.
No one would bother me. The only thing I wish I would have done is done more stuff for myself.
Sure.
I was doing it for the business I was working for at that time, but it still pushed me ahead. I still was learning,
Right.
but I just regret not ever going out and building something for me.
Yeah. So my wife, who was my fiance at the time, similar instance, when I moved to town, I was engaged to be married. She would always tell me, "Why are you working on work at home? You should work on something else." So similarly, that was that was the thing.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to when I was in college. One of the things I didn't want to be was a computer programmer. So when I graduated early, the high school I attended required that I went to college. There was no option. They had to see proof that I was going to go to college. So I was going to go, and I was.
Is that only because you were graduating early?
Correct. So
if you would have graduated on time,
there's no
Okay.
requirement. I was one of the only people up to that point that had graduated a year early.
Okay.
So they wanted to put some more requirements on it that I wasn't going to be a bum, basically, or their idea of a bum. So I had to say that I would go to college, and so I signed up to go to college for the easiest degree I could think of, MIS. Now, I'm not saying anybody with an MIS degree doesn't have a hard job, but MIS was a 1-year program. You were in and out. That was it, right? And it turned out that MIS had to have a programming class. And I was scared because I knew what I didn't know. So I spent the entire summer learning how to program Java. I sat down at my coffee table in my apartment and I just learned how to code in Java. Just take this Java class. Waste of time.
Well, it wasn't just like an intro to Java sort of thing.
It was Java 1.
Okay.
And the what they call it, the capstone project, like your end of year project, is like, make it print the date, make it print the time, make it enter your name and then say your name back. I wrote a peer-to-peer file transfer program with a graphical interface because I was so afraid that Java 1 was going to be so hard. I just sat down and learned it.
The only class that I started that I never finished in college because I ended up dropping it within that period that you could was C++.
C++, yeah.
That was a big old no for me.
So the other things that I've mentioned here, maybe a little previous, but I just want to reiterate, is that the other things that help you stand out in an interview is if you obviously know. I'm talking in particular a computer networking job or a computer job, not so much a programming job or anything like that, but a computer networking, computer end user facing computer job. I would learn subnetting, which is taking IPs, breaking them out into smaller or larger groups. I would learn the difference between a switch, a router, and a firewall. Now, some of the people out there listening might say, who doesn't know the difference between those things? I would tell you 90% of the people that we interviewed couldn't tell me the difference between a switch and a router. Not even a switch and a firewall or a router and a firewall. Two completely different things that have totally different things that they do. The difference between TCP and UDP. Again, another one of those things that some of the people out there are going to say, people don't know the difference between TCP and UDP. Yes, 90% of the people that we interviewed did not know the difference.
Did one of them got it right?
Two got it right. Two got it right. Yeah. So, and then when you interview, your ability to show aptitude to learn new things. And I would say if you don't know, don't guess.
A lot of people. So the assessment part to me was my favorite part because everyone got asked the exact same questions, and it really just showed what their knowledge was without being biased by any means. Because again, everyone was the same thing. But the ones, what you're just saying, whether you say, I don't know, most of them were trying to answer a question with a question.
Right.
Like they were trying to ask you like what the answer was in a roundabout way, which again, to me was like, it's fine to say, I don't know.
Well, and I would tell them at the beginning of the assessment, I gave this assessment to my current employees, which I've only given it to one right now, and the rest are going to take it today, but I know one's out sick and whatever. So I'll find out when it's all done how my own employees rate. And I think from now on, I will do this assessment with every interview that we do.
Oh, I mean, I agree. It was very helpful in trying to understand people's knowledge. Right now, when people come to us, I mean, decent number of our employees that we have now, we almost knew or someone knew of them.
Correct. Word of mouth. Yep.
Yeah. Before they came in, we don't have too many. We have a new one that'll start in January.
Yep.
That we had no clue who he was or anything like that. But most of them have been almost word of mouth. So the assessment part has been great.
Yep. I learned that I will do that from now on. That was really a good thing. So one of the last things I want to talk about here is the difference in pay between someone who went to college and someone who didn't. Because a lot of people out there will say, well, the person that went to college will make more. And while that statistically is true, what they're not calculating is the previous things that I said earlier in this podcast was go knock on the door, go tell them you'll do anything because I want to work here. I want to learn tech, whatever. They're not counting on compounding. So the second you walk into that business at 18 years old, graduate from high school, and you just want to do anything, you're already compounding your journey. You've taken out zero debt and you've worked and maybe you started just mopping the floors.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you're going on site to pull cable. And then all of a sudden you're programming switches. And then all of a sudden you're programming firewalls. And all of that could happen in a year.
Experience in the end is everything.
It's everything. So that 18-year-old didn't leave 100K in debt from school. That 18-year-old probably built 100K worth of value, along with raises and everything else over those 4 years. If the initial employee at 18 came in and was paid a lower salary, say initial network guy was $60,000, but they paid the guy who just came in $40,000, which is $20 an hour, which is, I think, a pretty fair wage for somebody that's going to do inventory and going to clean floors and kind of
do the things that you aren't willing, or not that you're not willing to do,
Right.
but that need to be done. But
I'm not going to do them.
yeah,
Yeah. And by the time that 4 years is over, if that person that started at 18 really, really works hard and pushes hard and shows up and is there and is present, they're going to be making maybe even six figures. When that person gets out of college, they're going to start at that $60,000 a year mark, and they have no experience.
correct. I mean, that is just, it's mind boggling in our industry
Mhm.
on how, and we just saw it again in those interviews, the people that had the experience were the ones that could sit there, answer the assessments, and had confidence in what they were saying
Yep.
because they've done the work.
Yep. That's 100%. And that's not to say, I don't want the takeaway from this to be, I have to have experience in order to get a job in that field. That's not the case. You just have to be willing to do whatever it takes to get that experience.
Correct. I mean, that's just it. And there's a lot of businesses like us that if someone walked in like that,
Mhm.
you would give them a chance.
Of course I would.
In a
100%. 100% of the time. I mean, we've had interns that maybe didn't work out so good. And they were right out of high school. Some that did work out well, some that came to work for us for a while after the internship was over, and it was fine.
The thing too that makes a little bit of a difference of what we have been talking about is some are forced internships.
Correct.
They have to do it. They have to choose a field. A lot of them like gaming, so then it comes right to technology.
Yep.
But they truly in the end don't love the technology side of it.
Yep.
The ones that have worked out the best are the ones that want it.
Yep. They want the technology. And some of them have found maybe they went to school for coding, but what they found they actually enjoyed was pulling cable.
Yes.
So we've had that. It's fine. I think that's awesome. To each their own, right? But I want to just be clear one more time. That doesn't mean the college grad loses. It just means that the compounding begins sooner if you start at the company when you're younger. So I just want to close on these 2 points. If I were starting in tech today, I wouldn't try to look impressive. I'd try to be useful. And because the people who last in tech, they're not the smartest ones. They're the people that decide to not stop learning.
That was a big trend too, that are real, and I shouldn't say trend. A few of them had answered like they just love to learn, love technology, love to learn about technology. And those are the ones that also answered quite well on the assessment.
Yep, correct.
It's just your want to be there, your want to learn more, you want to figure out the problem.
Yep.
Those are the ones that, again, just in those interviews, I know we have a great staff of employees that already have that mentality.
Yep.
But it's just getting that mentality and finding those people that have that passion.
I like to try to, when we interview employees, especially people that I'm going to work around every day, I try to find people that are similarly minded to me. They're at home, they're working on projects. A lot of times I'll talk to our employees about the projects that they're working on at home, try to give them support, like, oh, hey, that's a cool project you're working on. What can I do to help you? And because I find joy in their joy of what they're doing, learning at home.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about those little projects and what those habits, but what brings you the joy of what you get to do on your free time.
My dad was an engineer. He worked for Sudengay for quite a few years and a couple other companies in town. And he liked to run the lathe at home. He would make guns. He'd make all sorts of things. If he wanted it, he could build it. But that was his hobby. His hobby was technically what he did at work, except at work he did engineering drawings, which he did at home too, because he was going to put it on the lathe, or he was.
Yeah.
And so I grew up seeing that my dad's work was also his hobby. And I'm not a big believer in that whole saying, like, make your hobby your job and you'll never work a day in your life. No, you got crappy days too.
Especially if you have your own business. So my question for you today is, what is one of the biggest technology mistakes you see businesses making right now?
So, okay, yeah. So I would say that one of the biggest mistakes that I see businesses today, and even going back to the interview thing, I think that most businesses today could harness AI for helping their businesses grow. For example, my mother every year has to write a letter for donations. And every year it needs to be unique and it needs to uh, reach the community with stuff that happened over the year. And every year she struggles writing this letter. I showed her AI and I said, put it in there, see what it can come up with. And she did it. And she goes, I can't believe what it came up with. I took a job that would take her half a day and maybe condensed it down to an hour. What could you do with 3 more hours in your day?
Do you feel that AI is going to start replacing individuals?
No, that's a big misconception that people have. Granted, have some people lost their jobs to AI? Probably. But will it replace the majority of the workforce? It will not. The people that will be replaced are the people that choose not to use AI. So if you use AI to harness your job or to make your job better or do your job better, you'll go further than somebody who chooses to not use AI at all.
I was just going to say, I honestly think businesses need to start taking the look. And I get that some will have very confidential information for patients. I mean, depending what fields you're in, but teaching your employees how to properly use AI,
Right.
when to use it, how to use it.
Yep. Well, and even for the lawyers, admittedly, are nervous or about ChatGPT or AI in general. I was at a conference a while back, and it was Stump the AI or Stump the Lawyer, whatever it was, and they were using AI to show how bad AI was at law. And so when you show somebody that, I think you're showing them that there's fear there, that AI might replace them. What the takeaway was especially for lawyers, they should be harnessing AI. And okay, yeah, there's private things that you shouldn't put on AI. We should be teaching these law firms. We should be teaching schools. We should be teaching doctors' offices and hospitals how to build their own private AI cloud, which you can do for it's expensive, but it's not prohibitively expensive. So then all that data stays in their world, doesn't touch the internet, doesn't do anything else. And then you can also train the AI based on what that hospital wants to know or what that lawyer wants to know. If you wanted to train it on a particular type of rental law, then that's what you'll train your AI on. And it'll be really good at it.
And I think the biggest thing that you had said, that just in case no one caught it, is that it's in your own network.
It's in your own network.
Not going to the outside world.
Correct. And if you wanted an idea of what something like that would cost, you could probably low range get started with something for $30,000. So, which it's an investment, but it's a good investment.
If it makes everyone's productivity that much faster, you have to find the value.
Right. And productivity is value.
Especially when you have employees.
All right.
That's all I got for you today.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today.